Today we have Kishore, who is the founder and CEO of Rapidius, which is essentially a company that does AI software that optimizes pricing for the RV dealership sector. Okay, so I will let him talk more about it. But Kishore, thank you for coming on board and agreeing to take the time to do this. First of all, could you walk through with us maybe your business and the role that you play within it as well?
Thank you, Bruce, for having me on this podcast. My name is Kishore. I live in Bangalore, and our target segment for our startup, Rapidious, is really the US and the RV industry. Recreational vehicle dealers, about thousands of them, don't have access to any software to understand the competition, to understand pricing, aging, to understand how to price their RV units, how to mark it down on a periodic basis, how to understand what to buy, and how to appraise a unit. So we found it as an uncharted territory, underserved niche. So we developed a SaaS platform to service RV dealers. Um, rather unheard of, right? When we explain this to people, hey, that's a super niche. He said, yes, it's a super niche, but we believe we can build a company upward of 20 mil ARR. So we sat out and got out on this mission. Now the key is just look at the persona, right? It's a senior white male who is in the inner cities of America, not in a big city, not in a metro. They have these huge 100-acre parking lots, and they have hundreds of RVs. They need tools, they need analytics, they need data to support their decision. They spend a lot of time in pricing and a lot of time in figuring out how to buy, what to buy. So we support them with data, we support them with analytics. That's about the company I have, and that's about myself.
Okay. Okay, so thank you for sharing more about your company, Rapidius. So maybe you could just walk us through what your day-to-day looks like as the founder and CEO. How are you currently spending your day?
My day to day is being on calls with dealers, listening to them on their challenges, understanding how they price their units, how they procure, how they appraise, how they sit down with their customers to close a deal. What data do they need? What's the whole process? What's the whole feeling look like? What do they need to put in front of their customers to convince them it's a good deal? How should they understand competition? Depending on the value of the RV, a 50,000 RV and a half a mil RV have different radius for competition. If something is worth $200,000, you don't mind flying from Houston to New York to buy the right unit. But if it's $40,000, you want to go around the 1 hour radius or 2 hour radius. So understanding your competition and then keeping all that in mind to run your industry, to run your dealership more effectively. So those are the challenges we understand. We build software to address those challenges. Constantly, obtain data, refine it, QA it, and make sure that the data is serving their needs in the form of dashboards, KPIs, and measures and metrics.
Makes sense. So it's all about making, I guess, intelligent decisions for these RV dealerships that is, data driven and yeah, really helps them to plan out their growth and how they optimize the pricing of things. Okay.
Excellent summary, Bruce. That's an excellent summary. Yes.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it's a combination of data, domain knowledge, deep understanding of their process, and the right recommendations, the right dashboards and measures. See what I'm saying? So it's not only dashboards, it's a data, multiple pieces of data being combined with deep understanding of how they do it, and then in a way that they can consume those decisions.
I see. Okay. Then on that same tangent of, intelligent data decision making, could you share more about, since this is like a AI focused podcast, maybe you could share more about what are the applications or use cases that you are implementing right now, either within your business or for your clients that are driving the most amount of value?
So AI is there in many aspects of our platform. First is the algorithms necessary to crunch all of this data to arrive at recommendations, recommendations on pricing, recommendations on appraisals, and what do they stock, what units do they buy, recommendations on how to target. If there's a client in front of them, then how do we print out a brochure with all of the relevant competition so that you can convince the customers that this is a good deal. Also, we're designing new UI. We feel that almost every 6 months to a year, we need to refresh the UI with all the learnings. The last time we just sat down and we used AI tools to design the next user experience. It's just amazing, amazing. What we took months and months, we could do in days because of the AI power being available to us.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, so it's really used in a lot of different use cases, both for your clients and then also within your business, especially coming up with, for example, initial UI designs. Okay, so since we are on the topic of challenges, let's say for your own business to reach its goals, what would you say is the one major challenge that if you could solve, it could really help um, Rapidius?
I think we understand AI, we understand building out of applications very well. However, the data needed for our application still has to be sourced, has to be cleansed, structured. The master data has to be understood. That whole process cannot be simplified beyond a point. So, to answer your question, the most important thing is that different pieces of data have to be pulled, combined, blended, and simplified. That's to me is the big challenge, the big opportunity. And that's where the value is. Let's be very blunt, Bruce. In this day and age, using AI, software can be built at great speed. Screens can be built at great speed. Databases, geo search can be done. The data, the cleanliness, the relationships, that's where the value is. That's where the IP is for the company.
See, so you're saying that AI essentially helps to automate a lot of the low level tasks so that you can really focus on the most important things, like, building relationships with the clients or even with your team members. I mean,
Absolutely. Simple things like we need to guide our customers on how to use the software. So we build videos saying how do we appraise, how do we price, how to build out a competition data set for each unit in your lot.
yeah, okay. Okay, makes sense. Thanks for unpacking that in, deeper detail. So let's talk a bit about the company's goal, let's say for the next 6 to 12 months, say in 12 months time, and then you were to look back now, what would you have to achieve for this company to be happy with its growth?
I guess sign on more dealers, make it more useful for them. They should get embedded as part of their life. Every day they come, they spend their day understanding their inventory, their competition, their pricing, their trends. They use it to push prices back into their dealer management systems, into their websites. They use it to understand the movements and appraise their units. They use it to run their dealerships more effectively, more profitably. Don't spend that much money on curtailment costs, essentially interest costs. That's our dream and goal. That this software would be so useful for dealers that they would use it on a daily basis to run their dealerships. So remember, we are not a dealer management system. They already have their dealer management systems. We are not a website provider. They already have those.
Yeah.
We are the intelligence layer on top of that, enabling them to do things more effectively. The intelligent decisioning is what we are. So that's what our dream is. And continuous push for more adoption, have a regular touch points, make sure they know how to use this. It's already fairly intricate software. Make sure they use it well. They use the full power of it.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
Evangelization.
I
That's
mean,
that's
every
the most
business
important.
wants more. Yeah,
Yeah.
every business wants more clients, wants more better client relationships. Retain them for longer. And you also mentioned a few points on adoption and increasing the amount of touch points, right, with these customers. Can you also share a bit more about, because we don't typically get um, podcast people who do RV dealership software. So maybe you could share more about how what are the channels that you rely on to drive new customer growth.
As I said, this is such a niche market. I mean, you can't really be doing, lead gen, email lead gen,
Mm,
LinkedIn lead gen. You're not going to really reach too many of them. It's really a touchy, feely. It's a community of people. They call their friends. Hey, this is a good software. I think you guys should use it. So the word spreads. A very small
Word of
community of people,
mouth.
word of mouth, community, associations. This is the RVDA, that's the biggest association of RV dealers in the US and Canada. And the word spreads, using those networks. And so you really, as and when you do a good job, you gain positive reviews. That's the way it spreads around. That's not to say you shouldn't do email lead gen or LinkedIn lead gen, but there are limitations to those methods. So you just have to patiently keep working with dealers, make sure that they adopt it and they share the good word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so important. If one negative review can ruin the whole business, but then one positive review can take many months to build up that kind of reputation.
Right.
So yeah, important point there. Then what about, let's say, organic social media traffic or content creation? Is that something that you also rely on to get more brand awareness from RV dealerships?
Just imagine we actually have data of RV units for the last 1 year. We we listen to every RV dealer, every website on a daily basis. We listen to all their units. We know what they have. And when it drops off the website, we reckon it's a sale. So we know those the sales that are happening. That's a lot of data we have. Crunching that and creating valuable, insightful reports, publishing those as blogs on our website and sometimes on LinkedIn, speaking to them in podcasts like this. Those are the ways we think, we would really get our word out there. Blogs, LinkedIn articles, yeah, and some videos on YouTube. Those are the ways we're using right now.
Okay.
We are
Okay.
not super big on social media. We are not doing this, huge amount of money being spent on ads and videos, all of that. We do a little bit of it. We don't overdo it.
I see. So you mostly rely on, let's say, the human touch factor, like cold calling and going to events, networking, word of mouth, things like that.
Networking events, word of mouth,
I see.
we rely on that. We do the email lead gen, and we get a couple every month. So it's not as if we get 10 demos every month. We get a couple every month, and we keep going at it. I think the truth is we have to use a mix of all of these. There's no one method that's
Yeah,
going to
but
be the only
what's
solution.
more working well compared to others? Because it can't be everything
I
is
think
working
I think
equally well. Yeah.
yeah,
There are some that are
exhibitions,
better for some
networks.
industries. Yeah, I see.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. In the exhibitions and industry fairs, things like that. Okay,
Yeah.
got your point. And then, let's say in terms of the business challenges faced, what are some of the major obstacles that you are seeing right now in terms of either getting new customers or getting them to stay aboard? And then what are you trying to do to try and address some of these challenges?
I think the biggest challenge is that this is a new category. So when we get in front of a customer, we have to engage them in their challenges, um, urge them to look at the data, look at the slow mover items, look at, how do you really price them? Oh, you go to RV Trader and get the data. Okay, how much time do you spend? Oh, it's 5 minutes per unit. Great. So you have 100 units in your lot. That's 500 units of pricing time. How often do you price your units? Oh, once a week. Oh, So 6 days a week, your units are not priced right. So you have to lead customers through a conversation into the value that is potentially buried there, and then show them the platform. See, it's a new category. So I can't say, hey, now we're going to show you a new dealer management system. We can't say that because there's still no standard way of describing us. All we can say is we have data and we have good analyses that you can use in your. So the challenges
Do you
are
find
really,
that
I think, the penetration. Hmm?
mm,
Go ahead.
then do you find that because it is such a unique software, it is also hard to convey that across to potential prospects? And then also, yeah, basically how you position yourself and the messaging, is that very hard to communicate across?
Once we are in front of a dealer, we almost always close.
Mm,
Our close rate is above 95% because as
it's
soon as we're in
amazing.
front of them, we know their business and they get it and they move forward. The question is, how do you get them to the meeting?
Yes, I
Yeah.
see. So that is the bigger challenge for
Yes.
okay, got it. Okay, and then what are you trying to do to fix some of these challenges when it comes to acquiring new customers? What are the steps that you're actively trying to take to?
As I said, a combination of steps. We're working with RVDA. We're making sure that we're exhibiting in November in Las Vegas. We're also having our booth. We're speaking at a Vendor Plus event. We've also submitted to speak at an educational track event. There's another event in September timeframe where we'll be exhibiting. Then working through consulting companies. Um, Lead gen continues, ad campaigns continue. So the variety of methods sort of just continue so that we continue the momentum of growth. Keep growing a little bit
Understand.
every month. Add 3-4 dealers every month. You don't need 50 dealers a month. You need to add 3-4 dealers every month.
I see. So it's all about maintaining that consistent momentum for you, and then it will build up over time.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, that was great. Thank you, Kishore, for again sharing. Thank you for sharing your insights, Kishore, and for agreeing to take the time to come on this call. So I think the audience has learned a lot about this very unique niche RV dealership software. And then where would you say is the best place to contact you if they wish to learn more about this?
Please visit our website, www.rapidious.com, rapidious.com, or you can email me at Kishore, Kishore, at rapidious.com.
Okay. Thank you, Kishore. And again, thank you for sharing all of these insights. And I wish you all the best in growing Rapidius.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you so much
Okay.
for having me on the podcast. Goodbye.
Yep.